Long before Game of Thrones, George R. R. Martin wrote a short story called In the Lost Lands, and now I'm so excited that it's coming to the big screen. I've seen it. It's so much fun. Directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, Milla Jovovich. So, Paul, tell us what this short story, now a feature film, is all about.
It's about a witch, a Grey Alice, who hires a hunter, Dave Bautista, Boyce, to go into the Lost Lands in search of a werewolf and a magical power. And surprising things happen. Dark and twisted things, because this is a story written by George R. R. Martin, so that's exactly what you'd expect.
I was watching the movie and I see the maps and different stuff. I'm like, that looks so similar to Westeros and all the lands we see in Game of Thrones. And this is so quintessential George R. R. Martin. Mila, what is it like to play in this world? Obviously, it was a short story, but now it's a feature-length film.
I've always just been such a huge fan of fantasy literature, and I've done a lot of sci-fi in my life, but it was really wonderful to actually be able to immerse myself in this magical entity, this witch, this creature, as it were, and try to understand like where she comes from and what she wants, and it felt like in the end her loneliness is something that really hit me, like how hard it would be to live so many lifetimes and watch people you love die around you and try and help people, but most of the time, it doesn't work out because, be careful what you wish for.
Exactly.
And audiences know and love you, obviously, Resident Evil, those sci-fi movies that are just so much fun. And Paul, how did this relationship come about that you're adapting George R. R. Martin's short story for now your film?
It was brought to me by our producing partner, Constantin Werner, and he had optioned the original story from George. And of course, I was super excited. I was a huge George fan. Mila had brought me to George through Game of Thrones. She's read all of the books, big super fan over here. So I was very excited to kind of work on his characters and then also present a world that was a little like Westeros, but was different, to present something for an audience that was very, very cinematic, that was built for the big screen rather than the small screen.
It needs to be seen on a huge screen. And Mila, you're working alongside Dave Bautista in this. It just looks like so much fun seeing your characters kind of across this journey, kind of in a Western kind of style movie, post-apocalyptic. What is it like working with him?
I mean, Dave is just one of the kindest, most down-to-earth, humble people. He's a real team player. And, I really appreciate when actors bring warmth and enthusiasm to the set, because there's nothing worse than feeling judged by people, and it doesn't really bring out the best in anybody. And so, I feel like Dave really brought that comfort level where we felt free to improvise, we felt free to, talk about ideas, to collaborate, and he helped everybody just feel comfortable and at their best.
Yeah, he's a great team player, and I love the chemistry between him and Mila. And I'm glad you mentioned the Western aspect, because to me, I read George's story and it had a lot of the tropes of a spaghetti Western. These two characters that go on a quest into a hostile landscape, and they don't necessarily trust each other, but they kind of learn to respect and then love one another. It was very much like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or Two Mules for Sister Sarah.
It really is. It's so much fun. Make sure you see it on the big screen in the Lost Lands in theaters March 7th. Thank you both so much.